Sitting alone in a cafe after losing her job, a nurse unexpectedly finds companionship with a homeless man. The following day, a limousine arrives to pick her up, and she has no idea that her life is about to change forever. Lorraine had reached her breaking point. She had exhausted every effort to endure her job and could no longer tolerate her arrogant boss. In a moment of frustration, she confronted him, calling him a jerk, which ultimately led to her dismissal. Now she was anxious about how to pay her bills, having been living paycheck to paycheck for quite some time. "I know it's tough, but I had no choice," she reminded herself as she sat in a New York cafe, lamenting her situation. Her workplace was just a few buildings away, and she often visited after work. Outside, straw chairs and round glass tables adorned with vases of flowers and magazines created an elegant scene. But that day, Lorraine was too preoccupied to appreciate it or enjoy her now cold espresso. She was consumed by worries about her future and the daunting process of finding a new job. Suddenly, a weak voice interrupted her thoughts. "Please excuse me, miss. Do you mind if I have the rest of your coffee if you're not drinking it? I'm feeling a little under the weather," the voice said. "Oh, what?" Lorraine suddenly looked up and noticed a disheveled man in front of her. By his appearance, it didn't take her long to realize he was a homeless man. "Coffee?" she asked, confused. The man noticed Lorraine seemed lost, so he repeated himself. "Yes, the coffee. Can I have it?" he asked, pointing at it. "Yeah, sure. I wasn't going to have it anyway," she replied, offering it to him. "Please join me." The man nodded gently as he took a seat. "It's excellent, but it would have been even better if it had been hot," he said, taking a sip. "Thank you for letting me have it. My name is Jeffrey." "Lorraine," she replied. "No worries, Jeffrey." "If you don't mind," Jeffrey said, setting down the cup, "I can see something's bothering you. Not that I have the right to meddle in your affairs, but if sharing it with me makes you feel better, I'm all ears." "Just saying." Lorraine smiled a little. "That's actually really generous of you, Jeffrey. Thank you for asking. Honestly, I feel horrible because I lost my job. I'm a nurse. My boss was creating trouble at work, so I lost my calm and yelled at him in retaliation. He fired me, and now I'm at a loss for what to do. My name is Stuart, and I'll be your valet for the day. My boss is looking forward to meeting you," he said. "I've been having financial problems lately. That's all there is to it. Getting fired feels horrible, and a life with no money is worth." She sighed, shaking her head, and immediately regretted it as she glanced at Jeffrey, who had it even worse. "Sorry, I think I'm oversharing. Sorry if I offended you." No, you didn't," Jeffrey replied, waving his hands. "It's all right. I hope you feel better now that you've gotten it out of your system." "Very much, thank you. Let me get you something to eat," she offered, suddenly feeling grateful to Jeffrey for his thoughtfulness. She ordered a tuna sandwich for him and a fresh batch of 2 cups of coffee, although she knew it would shrink her pocket more. As the two talked over coffee, Lorraine felt her heart lighten, free of all worries for a while. During their conversation, Jeffrey laughed and said, "If I were your boss, I would come to you in a limo and hire you at my medical center or whatever they call it. I would be delighted to have you on my team. How could someone fire you?" Lorraine blushed. "That was all I needed to hear today. Thank you, Jeffrey. I feel really good after speaking with you." After finishing their coffee, Jeffrey offered to walk Lorraine home. She agreed, and while they were walking, she noticed Jeffrey always kept a considerable distance behind her. She pointed that out, and his cheeks flushed. "You see, I am a homeless man," he said. "If people notice us walking together, they might not see it in the right light. After all, I'm a filthy, scruffy man." Lorraine smiled, shaking her head, and held his hand. "I don't care what others think," she said. "For me, you're a kind-hearted man who made me feel better by listening to my worries. Your appearance and status are the least of what matters, Jeffrey. You shouldn't let people judge you like that. You deserve to be respected." "All right," Jeffrey nodded, tears welling up in his eyes as they reached her home. Lorraine offered Jeffrey to spend the night at her house and sleep in the guest room, but he refused, saying he didn't want to trouble her unnecessarily. Instead, he thanked her and left. "He's such a kind soul," Lorraine thought as she saw him walk away. "I should have asked him about his worries too. How could I be so self-centered? I hope we meet again, Jeffrey. I really hope so." That night, Her fears crept back into her head as she sat home alone. She couldn't shake the fact that she was jobless and cried herself to sleep due to all the anxiety and worry. The next morning, she woke up to the sound of her doorbell. She hurriedly threw on a sweater and rushed to answer the door. She opened the door and found a man in a suit standing in her doorway, with a limo parked outside her house. "Good morning, man," said the man. "My name is Stuart, and I'll be your valet for the day. My boss is looking forward to seeing you." Lorraine looked at him from head to toe. "I think you're at the wrong address, Mr. Stewart." "I'm afraid not, ma'am," he said. "Aren't you Lorraine Simpson?" At this point, Lorraine was utterly confused. She clearly didn't know anyone who would send a limo to pick her up, but she wanted to get to the bottom of this. So she got ready quickly and decided to go with the man, fearing the worst. She had 911 typed on her phone, and it was only a click away. But when the car pulled up at one of the town's most prestigious medical clinics and she met the owner, she knew it wasn't necessary. Stuart worked for none other than Jeffrey. How different and elegant Jeffrey looked in his suit, she thought, as Stuart opened the car door for her and she stepped out. Jeffrey explained that he was a psychologist who disguised himself as a homeless man as part of a sociological experiment for his research. When he met Lorraine, he saw the fire in her eyes and decided to hire her. "People know who I am," he explained. "You see, fame has its drawbacks. If I approached them as a doctor, they would not be honest with me, and my experiment would fail, so this was the only option." He offered Lorraine a job and hired her, leaving her overwhelmed with gratitude as she marveled at how positively her life had turned around. They say that kindness never goes unrewarded, and perhaps this was God's way of acknowledging the compassion Lorraine had shown to a homeless man. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.